Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much for staying with us here on Global Television. We are delighted to welcome you to the last weekday edition of Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofrebe and my colleague Jumai Mansing, who came here not like an African but as an African this Friday. Friday, promising weekend. Together, we will be making it worth your while for 2.5 hours. Juma, I don't know what more to say, but I know off camera a while ago, I did encourage you. I did give you my blessing to take pictures of yourself. What are your plans?
First of all, good morning. And all these hypes, I do not understand.
It's what I do for a living.
It's all you do for a living, but it's great to be side by side with you on the program Global Morning. Good morning, amazing co-hosts of mine. Well done. How are you all doing? Good morning to each and every one of you out there. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and they say it's TGIF now.
Right.
It's a beautiful day. Weather is fantastic as always, and not really as always, but it's fantastic today. We thank God. Let's be grateful. And well, it's great to be here doing this side by side with you.
Me too. I mean, as always, I'd say I share that emotion. I can't help it. But you mentioned weather now, right?
Yes.
Weather is almost everything. Whether it has to do with our emotions, has to do with our plans, or whatever it is we're doing on a given day. You even realize that your air conditioning system responds to weather.
Yes, it does.
At some point, you're wondering, even here in the office, whether a particular air conditioner is still working because you're not so impressed with the output. But then you go out for a second and you realize that the sun is really off and scorching and it sort of overwhelms the air conditioning.
Yes, it does.
Which means that we must show some respect.
Yes.
Whatever that means, really. But it's just to say that weather is very important and is right at the center of what we do. And the weatherman is reporting today that up north there's going to be a lot of haze, right, and of course sort of different elements across the country. But in all of this, as we've always said, is for you to plan around it and ensure that
very important.
Ultimately the weather has nothing on you. It's a very promising Friday, no doubt. We understand that President Bola Tinubu, of course, represented by key officials in the government, had commissioned some projects
in Lagos
this week, which is very historical.
Yes, it is.
For Nigeria's commercial city. And Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was said to have been praised and highly commended by the president for how he is, if you like, transforming Lagos.
Putting initiatives.
Right. Back in the day, I would always say, even before I came into the media space, that if you can lead Lagos, I mean, that's my own candid assessment, right? If you can lead Lagos effectively, if you can move Lagos from one point to a higher one, from one place to a better one, there's a chance that you can lead Nigeria.
Yes, you can.
We may not have data to support that position, but you see, Lagos is complex, not complicated really, but it's complex.
Yes.
Population, the demographics, you look at the geography, you look at the commercial structure of the place, I mean, from seaports to finance to tech to health, whatever it is. I mean, Lagos, it's a composite environment.
Yes, it is.
And then, of course, you look at the density. You look at Lagos even on television, you're wondering the sea of heads. And then when you're live on the ground in Lagos, whether you're on the island, you're on the mainland, you're wondering, how is this city run? And it's no wonder they say if you can make it in Lagos,
you can make it anywhere.
But New Yorkers stole that from us and said if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, we are coming for them.
Yes, we're coming for them. But really, you have spoken really well. And that is the truth that you have said. Lagos is very wide, peculiar. It has this peculiar nature that comes with it. And that is why when it comes to revenue generation, you can just stamp your feet on it and say this is one state that can actually survive on its own when it comes to all of that put in play. And Lagos is one of the states that are doing very well when you count all the states who are doing well. When you talk about Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, and some other states.
Those are the first three.
Those are the first three that you can actually bet on and count on and stamp your feet that they are doing very well when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to every other thing encompassed. And it has really paid a major role, really. And of course, Governor Sanwo-Olu is doing an amazing job when it comes to giving back, and of
Right.
course, giving that satisfaction to individuals in Lagos State. Not bad at all. I went to Lagos and Oshodi, growing up back in the day, Oshodi is nothing. There's a particular place, Ikeja, after Ikeja, then you get to Oshodi, where there's a very big market there and all of that, where you can buy anything that you're looking for. And I couldn't recognize it. I saw flyovers, I saw there's a terminal bus, everything is just organized. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? So you see that and you just know that, okay, this governor is working. There's a lot of good things going on here. And it's something that we should, other individuals should imbibe and look up to. Like I always go back to our guest that was here that says, once the governor starts something, other governors tend to imitate and see what they can do.
Right.
I think it's an example for other governors to see and do the best of which they can.
Quite a sterling example, I must say. And as it stands today, records show that Lagos is the 5th largest economy in Africa. So if Lagos was a country, was a nation, it would be the number 5th country in terms of economic ranking, which is quite pivotal on the continent of 54 nations. But that's not the end of the story. Lagos had long said its aspiration, its ambition is to become the 3rd largest economy on the continent. And when you are on the ground in that city, you see the efforts being made to drive that whole process into a logical conclusion. But away from Lagos, we also will be talking about who else is or is not working, but that will be at the federal level, where we look at the Renewed Hope agenda with a very strong supporter of not just President Bola Tinubu and his agenda, but the APC as well, especially at this point in time when Nigeria is again in this electionary era. We're taking a quick break. When we return, we'll talk a little more, and then of course we'll turn our attention to kind of where there is vacancy right now. I didn't say get your CVs ready. Return to Kano State, where a former deputy governor, as he now is, had resigned on the 27th of March, talking about Aminu Abdulsalam Gwarzo. Of course, there was a lot of drama that, as it were, preceded that resignation, because an impeachment move had already been kick-started at a point in time. There are those who say, well, he did something honorable by voluntarily resigning.
Yes.
Others say he could have done it earlier. Then there's also the belief that, well, he could have stayed on to fight the way through, like Felix Shaibu did with Basaki back in the day in Edo State. But I think we also need to take into cognizance the fact that the circumstances, the political atmosphere, the dynamics are never always the same.
Very true.
But again, that is history now, because like I mentioned a while
let's
ago,
not forget the allegations around
that, right? So, I mean, but the good thing is we're hearing that the State House of Assembly says we have withdrawn that entire process because events have overtaken, those efforts as it stands right now. However, his resignation naturally has left a vacuum for people to now vie to say who becomes the next. Yes, because life and indeed government would not allow for vacuum. In the case of Edo, we saw what happened. The former governor Basaki had to go bring another gentleman dramatically from the Labour Party to come serve in a PDP government at the time. It became a subject of litigation. We understand, and the records are very clear. Right Honorable Philip Shaibu eventually won that case in court.
Yes, he did.
The rest again is history. But in the case of Kano, you have a handful of gentlemen who believe very strongly that they are the best fits for the deputy governor position.
Yes, very strong contenders.
Very, very. Of course, Kano, as they say, is a peculiar case when it comes to politicking, when it comes to economy and all of that. And so much so that we are close to the next round of general elections. So you can imagine how intense this sort of political, so to speak, battle will be. But then we're hearing that there's a gentleman who perhaps stands out amongst this pack. Of course, there's a gentleman too, largely Fagore, who has also thrown his hat in the ring to say, look, I'm the best man for this job.
Yes.
And then on the other side, you have Mortala Sule Garo, who is a prominent Kano State politician, as well as grassroots mobilizer, heavily touted
yes,
for appointment as the new deputy governor of Kano as it stands today, following a vacancy. Now, formerly a commissioner and 2023 APC deputy gubernatorial candidate, he has what has been described as strong local backing. and which again in politics it's a very strong element in your credential, because they say every politic is local. So if Juma and Uyi can't be locally relevant,
Exactly.
you know, it's going to be very difficult for you to rise through the ranks. In my place, they say you can't whistle, or you don't whistle on the farm until you have whistled at home. Incidentally, we didn't come whistle this morning. But what it does mean is that this gentleman, we understand, has a very strong local backing, and there are those rooting for him. In fact, there are those who even believe that there's no need for contest. I mean, get this man inaugurated already. But
Exactly.
that's not up to us or anyone else, apart from the people of Kano, and indeed those who influence the political landscape and leadership in Kano State. But one thing we do understand is that he comes with a very strong background in political leadership.
Yes, he does.
In terms of administration, in terms of political clout and influence. I mean, for somebody who had been a commissioner at a point in a state as
Twice.
Yes, in Kano State. I mean, that's no joke. And then add to that a former deputy governorship candidate in the 2023 general election.
Yes, and then if you look at it closely, Uyi, when you look at, Kano has 4 local government areas. Kano State.
44.
44, sorry,
Right.
44 local government areas. And he has made impact in all 44. When it comes to youth empowerment, when it comes to supporting women, widows, orphans, children, all the things that he does. Although he's young, and of course, youths want to resonate with the young and all of that, but he's able to carry everyone along, creating that structure. And, once an individual is in power, you must understand politics from the grassroots, understand being the mouthpiece of individuals, and he has proven so.
Right.
So if they say he's the best candidate for the job, of course we have seen that action speaks louder than voice, and we've seen all the things that he has done when it comes to structure, when it comes to empowerment programs, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to carrying everyone along, when it comes to understanding the elders, understanding tradition, and also understanding electoral act. Everything coming and being creating that balance is very important. And of course, like I said, twice on the seat of appointment, it says something, and it's something really big. And I think individuals should actually resonate with that. Once you can carry the individuals along and you have the people at heart, you can do a lot. Imagine 44, and you have made impact on all 44. That is something that people should look up to and really know that, okay, well, if they say this is the right candidate for the job, let's see.
Who are you to say otherwise?
Who are you to say otherwise? And it's very important that we understand that politics is all about the grassroots, like you said it before. How you carry individuals along who I think they are marginalized, because of course the grassroots feel as if it's those high up there that actually understand what is going on. But an individual who has come down to that level to understand that, hey, this is how it works, and I understand your plight, I understand your pain, and let us make this work together, goes a long way. And of course, in Kano, it's the structure that really matters. Once you have that structure on ground, everyone will vouch for you and sing your praises. Once you're doing the needful, in meeting the needs of individuals in that particular state, it speaks a lot, and it goes a lot about of course, the candidate Murtala Sulekwa. So he has done a lot for Kano State, and of course, when it comes to politics and all of that, he has done a lot, and people have spoken highly of him, and it's very important. And there's one thing that caught my eye when I was going through his bio. It says when it comes to strengthening traditional institutions, when it comes to coordinating local government activities, he's present, he's on ground. He doesn't just designate, he's always on ground to ensure that he's carrying each and every people along, promoting effective grassroots governance. He's there to make you understand that, okay, this is for the people, by the people, this is democracy, and we're here to work together. And something supporting reforms in chieftaincy administrations, meaning carrying traditional rulers along, even when he's at the head to call the shots. He needs your input. He cannot do it alone. Let us work together, heads on deck. And enhancing collaboration between state and local authorities, very important, balancing the two. And that is all people are looking for and valuing for, and it speaks a lot about an individual that has integrity and worth. It speaks a lot.
It's interesting, Juma, how that a section of Kano people had even speculated that by Tuesday, 3 days ago, that he would have been sworn in already. I mean, they say that speaks to how eminently qualified he is for this position. But again, you mentioned in passing his youthfulness.
Yes.
Which is very significant in this conversation, right, and going forward, because there's something about the youthful energy, and that not only resonates with people, it has its own influence. Really.
Yes, it does.
When you're young, even before you open your mouth, your presence has a way of commanding some sort
The
of
youths can
influence.
relate.
Right.
Really.
So you need all of that. And add to that, from the political side, we hear that he has been a loyal member of the APC.
Oh, yes.
Which, again, is the party in power in Kano State, of course, at the federal level as well. That matters a lot because not too long ago, the governor moved into the APC.
Yes.
So there's already a very fundamental political alignment, which is necessary because most times when you find that there is feud or some sort of bad energy between the governor and the deputy,
Oh, yes.
it's always on political
Yes, very
basis, right?
controversial.
But as it stands right now, we hear there's no such thing, which means that all you probably need to be looking at now is when we BDDL swearing in, I mean, as it were, inauguration and stuff like that. But what I find particularly interesting is how that your antecedents speak for you at some point.
Yes, it
We may
does.
not know when exactly, because today we're now looking at him and asking, what has he even done before? And now we're talking about how that as commissioner in that state,
Oh, my goodness.
he has made impact in ways that are remarkably very significant. Plus, of course, you have to now look at the fact that this is a man who had also been eligible enough to have stood for election
Yes.
as deputy governorship candidate in 2023. And Jomai, these are not things that happen randomly.
No, it doesn't.
Which means even the leaders of your party must have looked at your background, they must have looked at your track record.
Acknowledged it.
Yes, and they must have looked at how whatever it is you have accomplished, whether in your private life as a maybe a private entrepreneur, for example, and your life, your impact as a politician in the public space would further strengthen the party's brand. And that is even more important given the fact that we are now inching closer to 2027 general election.
Yes.
And the quality of governance provided in a case as central as Kano, under this sort of leadership combination of Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and now this gentleman talking about Murtala Sule Garo, a man I like to call MSG right now, is such that, I mean, you can't overlook that sort of relevance.
No, you cannot. And that is why I say track record matters a lot. Of course, you know, Murtala Sulegaro has been the commissioner for local government twice. And you say to yourself, what has he done? And I've outlined all the things
His
that he has
achievements.
done, all his achievements, all the ranks that he has met up with when it comes to carrying individuals along, when it comes to entrepreneurship program, when it comes to touching, impacting, and improving lives. And then you say, now, if he has done that in that level,
Right.
what will happen when he becomes deputy governor of Kano State? I leave that as a question mark for you and I to talk about because of our time.
All right,
But I know
great.
make
Well,
impact.
I mean, as they say, action speaks louder than words.
Yes, it does.
Without much, we understand and Kano people are saying that they've seen, and that is what exactly is the basis on which this gentleman, Murtala Sule Garo, is now being assessed. So we'll keep you abreast, bring you up to speed as to how this is unfolding in Kano State. We're taking a break now, and for the last time in this working week, Ramsey Enoch Agbo is standing by with Inspirational.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching from, where you are listening from right now. My name is Ramsey. Let's talk a little bit. You know, a lot of people think the way they want to think because everyone is entitled to their decision. Everyone is entitled to how they think. But then you have the right to think in a particular way. But then there is something I want us to consider today, inspiring ourselves, encouraging ourselves. What we are trying to achieve here is to set someone on track, give someone hope, restore someone's belief and faith in himself, in herself. What are we saying? There are things that you don't need to procrastinate about, that you need to start now. From where you are, using what you have, doing what you can, because nobody, all right, would want to have it all before they get started. If you're waiting for when you have it all before you get started, then it is a problem. So now, I want to ask a question. Let me ask you a question. How many dreams have died because someone was waiting for the perfect moment? How many dreams do you think have died? Even you who is listening, who is watching right now, How many of your dreams, how many of your plans have died because you were waiting for the perfect moment? Some will say, I will start when I have the money. Some will say, I will begin when I have the right equipment. Some said, I will take the first step when everything is in place. But when is going to be the time that everything will be in place? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves. But let me tell you something. The truth is this: there will never be a perfect time. The perfect time is now. All right? Arthur Ashe, the legendary tennis champion, once said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. He didn't have the fanciest equipment. He didn't train in the best facility, but he had willpower and courage to start whatever he had. You see, greatness doesn't just wait for the perfect time. It doesn't care about perfection. It grows through progress. Every successful person you admire today started small. The difference between them and others isn't the talent, all right? It's the action, the move. Don't despise your humble beginning. Don't mind what people are saying, because people will say so many things about you. Whatever. Someone said his name is whatever. Whatever you do, whatever you say, people must talk about it, whether positive or negative. If you're doing well, people will still criticize you, because some persons will say, oh, because of his affluence, he's behaving like this. If you don't have, some people would still say, where is he looking at? Can't he see his mates? Can't he see what his colleagues are doing? The small things that you are doing in a big way one day will generate you income that don't even expect. The bottom line is this: you need to tell yourself and say, enough is enough. I've tarried too long in this place, in this position, all right, in this thinking. You know, it's a process. It's a process. Success is a process. First of all, you need to conceive it in your heart. Then secondly, it needs to get into your head. Have it in your head, or else it will never get into your hand. Number one, it needs to be in your heart, in your head, and in your hand. I call it the triple H. The triple H principle says it must get conceived in your heart first, keep ringing in your head, then it will enter your hand one day. But a lot needs to be doing. It's a process, just like the seed. The seed doesn't grow in just one day. It went through a lot of processes. The gold you see today don't just come out shiny, but then it went through a refining process, a heating process with fire, serious fire. The gold is being heated in serious fire before it's become what it is today. So whatever you're doing, that dream that you have, begin to do something about it. Begin to mix up with people who are going your direction, people who have your kind of dream achieved already, because that thing you're thinking, somebody already has gone ahead to do it. So you don't need to just sit down and be thinking, be procrastinating. The economy is not favorable. Nigeria, this is the country. If I was abroad, well, let me tell you the truth. It's not all about your location. It's not all about your destination, even though these factors play particular roles in your success, in your growth, in your achievement. But you don't need to capitalize on it. All right, and hold yourself back, because by the time you're holding yourself back, someone somewhere is already overtaking you, because the person believed in his or her dream and decided to make a move, despite the fact that they are not seeing the staircase, but they believe that their leg will land somewhere. All right. Risk taking is very important, but then if you want to take risk, let it be a calculated risk. Not the risk that will destroy you or claim your life. Any risk you're taking, it should be a calculated risk. If I do this, this is what is going to happen. If I do it this way, this is what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, this is where I am going to land, good or bad. That's how to take risk. You don't just take risk randomly and say, well, whatever wants to happen should happen. You should know that this thing that I want to do is two ways. It's either it happens this way or it happens the other way. But those two ways should be something that you should be able to survive, not that kind of risk that will end you in jail. Then that dream is already dead on arrival. That vision is dead on arrival. So if you want to take risk in as much as risk taking is part of the game, you need to be calculative. You need to put your sense together. All right. And you just need to know that every expert was once a beginner. Everyone started from somewhere, and they are where they are today. It's so beautiful talking with you. It's so nice talking with you in this aspect. A lot of people tell themselves, this is what I want to do. They start and they stop halfway. Some persons start and one thing comes up and they abandon that and rush on the other thing. But the bottom line is this: whatever you want to do, whatever it is you're doing, you should believe in yourself that you are a great man, you are a great woman. But then you need to put God at the center of everything that you do, whatever it is. Allah, okay, is supposed to be in charge. And everything you want to do, don't succeed at the detriment of the other person, because nemesis will not allow that success see the light of day. You might be successful today, but how long is that success going to be sustained? Will you be able to sustain it because you did it on a very faulty foundation? A house built on a faulty foundation never lasts. We heard of building collapse at different times. How did it end? Because the foundation was faulty. So your success in life, your achievement in life should be on a very solid foundation without you stepping on toes. It's not necessary, okay? Because the plan that God has for you is of good. So do your best and try everything that you can and get started now. Get started now. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, December, you should be able to sit down and say, yes, this is what I have done. This is what I have achieved. All right. It might not be 100%, but at least 75, 80, 85, 90 is still a very good one. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful time. I want to see you at the other side of success so that we can celebrate together, because the world is waiting for you to manifest your success. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, it's Global Morning on Global Television. And hope you were well inspired with Heart to Heart Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. At about this time is the newspaper review segment. And we're going to start with the first paper of the day. It's the Vanguard newspaper. Above the name mass, it says here, World Bank downgrades Nigeria's 2026 economic growth to 4.1%. And that's on page 19. And next below that on page 5, it says ADC sues INEC, demands recognition of Mark Aregbesola. And on page 7, it says Army General feared killed in Boko Haram attack on Borno community. And on page 9, it says U.S. orders non-emergency staff to leave Abuja embassy. I spoke about that yesterday on the papers. And below the nameplate, the Star story says, special report, cutthroat rent hikes worsening Nigeria's housing crisis. And of course, that is true, especially roads especially houses that the roads are being, there's construction ongoing, there's serious hike in prices, and that's a serious problem. And someone said here, why are you increasing rents when you did not
Build a new house.
you're not building a
You're
new
not
house?
paid for the road construction.
Exactly, you're not paying for road construction. Why you do? But I think Nigerians, we have to learn how to be empathetic and sympathetic at this time, because
And not exploitative.
not exploitative, because it's not just you that is, you're not feeling the brunt of this. Individuals can't even make ends meet with their salary, and then when you do all of these things, let's just have the fear of God, okay? And don't say, Juma, if it's you, what will you do? I think I know what I'll do, but I won't.
We're watching.
I know what I'll do, so I'll leave. I won't praise myself, because I know that's what you're waiting
I just said
for.
we're watching.
But I know what I'll do.
We're watching to see you not praise yourself.
And it says here we have so many riders on the Vanguard newspaper, and it says here how landlords, estate agents exploit hopeless tenants with arbitrary rents, fees. Why rents are skyrocketing, what Nigeria must do. Low income, high building costs, weak mortgage system, and I agree. Others fingered. 550,000 housing units needed yearly to overcome 15 million deficit in 10 years. And on page 8 it says Middle East crisis calls grow for inclusion on Lebanon in peace deal. And on page 38 it says until we come together, nobody will fix Nigeria for us, says Obasanjo, and I agree. And of course, my favorite part on the Vanguard newspaper is a Mr. and Mrs. column. And go out and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard to be well abreast with these major headlines making round. And up next by Uyi Agbomofuegbe is the New Telegraph. Go ahead, Uyi.
All right, let's take a look at that for you. Thank you, Jumai. Meanwhile, okay, at the top here says CBN, that's a kicker. Value of currency outside banks falls marginally by 200.70 billion naira. Federal government, Russia renew commitments to deepen trade. On page 8 is where those details await you. Then what more do we have here? It says Tinubu launches platform for government entrepreneurs direct engagement. ADC, David Mark's faction drags INEC to court. I thought we were already very heavy on this litigation. 2027, APC, INEC plotting to destroy Nigeria's democracy. That's an allegation coming from a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, one who happens to be the Southwest Vice Chairman of the party at the point, Chief Bode George. Ohaneze bans Ezidingbo title outside of Igbo land. Let's put that issue to rest for once, at least. We saw what happened in South Africa, especially across Durban recently. Yes. And then the Star headline says, Borno, scores of terrorists killed as troops fought attacks on military formations. That's credited to Defense Headquarters. We have two riders here. Says, few brave gallant soldiers paid the supreme price, mom, on brigade commander's fate. We understand from unconfirmed sources out there that a certain brigadier general had been affected by this attack, but we have to independently verify that. Another writer says, don't be discouraged. Weary, Tinubu tells military. Again, courts jails another Boko Haram victim, 9 years, after, 10 years in detention. Then you find those details on pages 4, 5, 7, and 29. Fuel may hit 2,000 naira per litre. That's according to the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC. Urges federal government to subsidize crude, fast-track CNG infrastructure. Insecurity, U.S. cancels all visa appointments, orders staff to leave Abuja. Nigeria's stable, safe federal government is responding to the U.S. there on pages 2 and 7. Those are details you would find if you read up the New Telegraph, this beautiful and promising Friday. And next part of call is the Nation newspaper.
All right, now in the Nation newspaper, above the nameplate, it says here, Boko Haram fighter who killed many sentenced to death. And the writer says Tinubu mourns heroic fallen soldiers after attack. And on page 4, it says 2.2 million candidates sit for 2026 UTME April 16th. And on page 7, it says UBA widens youth empowerment with graduate program. And below the nameplate on page 3, close to the star story, says School City inaugurated in Lagos. And here it says Mark-led ADC returns to court after threats, protest. And the writer says Fraction seeks quick hearing order for recognition. Bala Gombe leads counter protest. And it still says ExxonMobil moves $8 billion project in Owowo. And here it says federal government panel to review $200 billion gas power rail project proposal. And that you will find on page 2. And basically that is all the major headlines on the Nation newspaper. Up next is the Blueprint.
Oh, thank you, Juma. Let's go take a look at the Blueprint newspaper for you. Quite loaded this morning for apparent reasons. But first of all, let's see what we have here. Above the nameplate, it says UTME candidates slips ready for printing. Exam starts April 16th. That's JAM there announcing. So you better get yourself ready for JAM. All right, April 16th. That's a matter of days away. By the way, on the Blueprint newspaper. What more do we have there? It says 3 more headlines just immediately beneath the nameplates. Top right with a picture of, the MD and, as it stands, the founder of Tantita. It says, Monarchs leaders rally supports for pipeline surveillance there. WAFCON, Ajibade unhappy with Super Falcons preparation. What exactly is her concern with the preparation by our gallant Super Falcons? You can read up on page 32, excuse me. And then we have the star headline, Fallen soldiers in Borno are unforgettable heroes, says President Tinubu. With 3 riders, urges media support for the military. Troops repel attack, lose soldiers. Quite an anticlimax. A gunman raid Niger communities, Bago vows not to surrender. Right corner of the paper, front page still, Nigeria secures £746 million to upgrade Apapa, Tinkan Island ports. Federal government inaugurates committee to review $200 billion gas power rail initiatives. So much money coming to the system. Hopefully this will rub off on citizens across board. Boko Haram victims jailed 9 years after 10 years in detention. What does that irony mean? You can find details on page 11. Ceasefire. Iran allows ships passage through Strait of Hormuz. Abiodun rolls out 40 SUVs for Ogun Monarchs. All of that is happening in Ogun State, apparently. And then on the fruits of the Blueprint, U.S. Security Advisory Precautionary, no breakdown of law and order. That is Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, providing clarification right there. Those are all the headlines this morning we present to you on the Blueprint newspaper. Please be sure to look at these headlines, as many of them as possible, in detail as we now look at the first daily newspaper.
All right, down the first daily newspaper beside the nameplate, it says FG condemns Eze Idingbo coronations abroad as embarrassing. And okay, let's see. And then below that it says JAM directs candidates to print 2026 UTME slips. ADC crisis escalates as David Mark Fraction sues INEC, seeks reinstatement. And of course, the star story there says Abuja shut down. U.S. closes embassy visa decks after staff evacuation. And below all of that, it says FG moves to review $200 billion rail project feasibility. And it says CBN debunks Polaris Bank liquidation. Rumor assures stability. Okay. And it says FG warns of flood risk across 10 states as heavy rains looms. Police arrest suspects over killing of 3 siblings in Ondo. And it says here, TUC demands urgent cut in fuel pump price. And those are all the major headlines on the First Daily. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next is The Nation.
Quickly, The Nation's here, not much, but let's see what we have. Top right corner with a picture of the head of JAM here. It says 2.2 million candidates to sit for 2026 UTME April 16. Well, that story has a picture of Professor Loyode, and details are on page 4. Boko Haram fighter who killed many sentenced to death. Tinubu mourns heroic fallen soldiers after attack. School City inaugurated in Lagos. Pictures speak for themselves here. You see Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu flanked by no less a person than the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Mark-led ADC returns to courts after threats, protests. Riders say faction seeks quick hearing order for recognition. Balagombe leads counter protests. That's interesting. Politics and drama, they are intertwined apparently. ExxonMobil miles $8 billion projects in Owowo. Right, of course, that's on Nigerian soil. Federal government's panel to review $200 billion gas power rail projects proposal still in proposal form, not yet in liquid. All right, so that's on page 2 of The Nation. Those are your headlines from The Nation newspaper today. Of course, we expect you to read all details for yourself. It's a Friday indeed, and Leadership Friday is our next port of call.
All right, now Leadership Friday beside the nameplate, and that's on page 4. It says Arsenal reignite title charge after European boost as Premier League returns. And that's on Sports Desk. And below that on page 26, it says power generation dropped by 295 megawatts in March. And that's from NERC. And on page 4, it says Tinubu mourns soldiers killed in battle with Boko Haram. And the Star Story says ADC crisis. David Mark approaches court, seeks reversal of INEC's decision. And that's on page 4. And it says here, 11 Boko Haram members jailed for 40 to 60 years. And that's on page 4. And below the Leadership Friday, it says here on page 22, it says Castina to sponsor 1,000 couples wedding. Okay. And here it says on page 28, Lassa fever. Nigeria record 663 cases. 167 deaths in 3 months, and that is a lot. And above that it says Yusuf settles 32 billion naira pension backlog, vows full clearance. And on page 26 it says insecurity. UniJOS VC confirms 2 students killed, 3 injured. Very unfortunate incident there, and you have to go get yourself a copy of the Leadership Friday to avoid fake news and to stay abreast and be well informed with issues making rounds. Next is the Daily Trust.
All right, top right, 2027. Don't truncate democracy, Arawa think tank CSOs caution opposition. Robbers cut off teacher's hand in Kano. Towards the end, I'd like to ask, but it sounds very preposterous, but again, that's on page 6. Again, Tinubu absent as Lagos Projects commissioned. These are some of the developments that have sparked speculation of some sort of disharmony between the president and his political son, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Let's look at the big one for you. Terrorists killed General, 17 soldiers in Borno. Incidentally, Defense Headquarters has not confirmed the killing of this general in particular, but let's see what happens going forward now regarding the, this report and this news. But it's quite a sad one already, even though we understand that gallant men in uniform are winning the war against these criminal elements. Incidentally, just 4 headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper today. Jemai will walk us now through the Daily Times.
All right, now in the Daily Times newspaper, and it says here, why stewardship may be the leadership language we need. And of course, next it says insecurity. U.S. Embassy in Abuja shut amid insecurity threats. And it says subsidized crude fix insecurity now. TUC tells FG as hardship bites harder. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Daily Times. Go out to get yourself a copy. I'm well informed with issues making round. And the last paper is the Nigerian Tribune. Over to you, Uyi.
Incidentally, is the second to the last. Jumai will have to do us those honors when the time comes. But let's look at the Daily Nigerian Tribune. Top left, it says petrol price may hit 2,000 naira per litre. TUC once. You know, the other day, Jumai told us here that she had bought for 1,370.
Yes.
Right? Well, showing you a picture of where we may be heading now.
I don't want to see that picture.
It's in front of you.
Yes, I know.
Well, what can we say?
Well.
The headline, as depressing as it is, has one rider with it. Says wants federal government to subsidize crude, fast-track CNG infrastructure. A while ago, the president has said that we may have to consider converting some of the conventional fuel stations to CNG hubs, right? But again, the modality for that is very critical to the conversation itself.
Critical.
Leadership crisis. David Mark-led ADC praised court to reverse annex decision. Dark day in Borno. Brigadier General orders killed in Beni Sheikh military-based attack. Troops neutralized cause of insurgents. Tinubu mourns with families, describes fallen soldiers as unforgettable heroes. Federal government pushes back as U.S. orders embassy employees, families to leave Abuja. Southern Middle Belt leaders, federal government too soft on terrorists. Call for abolition of Operation Open Corridor. Those details are on page 6, so you can only imagine that it's going to be quite an extensive read. And then left corner of the paper, where we have two more headlines. Here it says, NADDC, Standards Organization of Nigeria, launch VECAP to strengthen vehicle safety industry standards. Excuse me. And then we have the last one, by way of headlines from the Nigerian Tribune. It says Nigeria calls on UN to promote fair hydrogen economy. That's on page 21. All the headlines we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning on the front page brought to you already. Let's go add some icing to the cake by looking at the Nigerian News Direct.
All right, now the Nigerian News Direct, and yes, that's the last paper today on the newspaper review segment. And above the nameplate on page 12, it says only 4,089 megawatt power available for dispatch in March, and that's from a report as smaller GenCos show Nigeria's energy needs. And on page 13, it says intra-African trade is set to hit $230 billion by 2026, and that's from Afrim Bank. And below the nameplate, it says U.S. advisory does not reflect Nigeria's security situation, and that's Idris insists. And if you're wondering where that is on page 5 on the Nigerian News Direct. And it says here on page 16, Osun Reg redeployment, politically engineered, Osun Assembly alleges. And on page 17, Polaris Bank not undergoing liquidation, and that's from CBN clarifies. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Nigerian News Direct. Go out to get yourself a copy and be well informed with the major issues making rounds. And point of note, that Global Television, Global Morning Crew have no input whatsoever on this newspaper reviews headlines. They are brought to you just how they have been printed. Right, Uyi?
Of course.
And with that much said, next on the program is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Momono. Stay tuned.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all. From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Quality doesn't start on the shelf. It starts at the factory. At Aerogym Garments Factory, every stitch reflects precision, comfort, and creativity. Across our production floor, more than 10,000 fabrics move through daily, becoming up to 5,000 finished garments. From senators to chinos, jeans to polos, t-shirt, singlet, overall, customized jacket, safety wear, school uniform, and more. When garments need to look professional, fit properly, and last, choose a factory that delivers excellence every time. Go for Aerogym Garments product, located at number 1 Pound Road behind the Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State, Nigeria. For inquiries, call 091-2645-3399 or 070-3009-3944 or 080-6573-8374 or call 091-3167-3668. Email info@aerogym.com. Website www.aerogymdesign.com. Aerogym, where excellence crafted for confidence.
Social media speaks. We listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk. Only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to look at buzzing issues on social media. Today we're taking a look at the reaction of the president to the deadly terrorist attack on troops in Borno State. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has expressed deep shock and sadness over the killing of military personnel in a terrorist attack in Borno State. The president mourned the loss of soldiers from the 29th Task Force Brigade of Operation Hadinkai, who were killed during a coordinated attack by Boko Haram insurgents on their camp in Beneshikai. In a statement issued by his media aide, Bayo Onanuga, Tinubu extended heartfelt condolence to the Nigerian military and the families of the fallen soldiers. The Defense Headquarters confirmed the incident, which occurred in the early hours of Thursday, April 9, 2026. President Tinubu noted that the attack came amid intensified military offensives that have seen several insurgents and their commanders neutralized. Describing the assault as a desperate counterattack, he paid tribute to the fallen troops led by Oseni Omo Brahima, assuring that their sacrifices will not be forgotten. The president also urged the military high command and troops across all operations to remain steadfast, courageous, and committed to the fight against terrorism, while assuring continued government support in terms of welfare and equipment. He further called on Nigerians and the media to support the armed forces and refrain from glorifying attacks against them, emphasizing that the fallen soldiers remain national heroes. All right, let's take a look at some comments from social media. The first comment today is coming from Femi. Femi says, "May the souls of the departed soldiers rest in peace. May God comfort the families left behind. Nigeria shall overcome all these challenges." That's a very hopeful and thoughtful comment. Thank you, Femi. Next comment is coming from Official Blessing Wank. And Wanko says, "Expressing shock is good, but what happens next? The buck stops at your table, sir. Do something, please, we beg you." All right, thank you so much, everyone who dropped their comment concerning today's topic. And this is something that affects everyone, so it is good if everybody comes out to talk about it. You are affected. You might not be affected now, but it is your country, so one way or the other, you are actually affected. Now the question is, what exactly has been put in place? I keep talking about actions. I am tired of hearing we are going to do this. I express shock. I'm not happy. I am doing this. I'm doing that. What exactly has been put in place? And we want to really see actions. Well, I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Jumai Mansin. Good morning, Jumai.
Good morning, Ogochukwu Mobono. How are you doing today?
Very well.
Well done.
It's Friday. I love your outfit.
Thank you. They say it's TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, right?
All right, let's go into insecurity. It is ravaging Nigeria, and I am scared for myself because I don't know how true this report is. But yesterday, I saw on social media a lot of persons were saying that they had a sporadic shooting somewhere in Abuja, in a location in Abuja. Like I read about it this morning too, and we used to say, oh, the city is safe. Just come to Abuja or go to any big city is safe. But right now, it is entering the cities. We are no longer safe in the cities. The villages, most of the villages, especially in the northern part of the country, they've all evacuated that place. They've left their villages. People are no longer in their villages. They don't feel safe in their community.
Yes.
How long will this be? I saw a video of this particular incident, and I just can't bring it up here because it's really not, it's a gory video, it's not a good one at all, where soldiers were burning and killing troops, burning their vehicle and all of that. What do you think about insecurity in Nigeria?
It's very sad, and I was speaking with my co-host Uya Bomofuegwe, and I said, once we curb this menace of insecurity, every other thing falls into place. Well, we have to start with insecurity because the bulk starts with you and I. It affects us in one way or the other. Once we're able to shut it down, then every other thing, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to hike in transport, all of that just falls into place seamlessly and we're able to tackle it. But it's just unfortunate that we think that it all lies in the bulk of the government or the security agents. Yes, it's true, but at the same time, we all have a role to play in it because it concerns you and I. It's scary, yes. It's very sad that a lot of individuals have lost their lives. Security, especially military officers in the army, have lost their lives. I know a couple of you that have lost their lives, the toll in which it has on families. It's a very big void that cannot be fixed. It only takes God and grace. And at the same time, it's very sad, but it's something that is worrisome. And it's scary, but hopefully the needful is done. All hands are on deck when it comes to all the service chiefs. Their hands are on deck, and of course the Minister of Defense is an ex-general. So of course, I hope for the needful will be done, but we need that needful to be done as soon as possible because really it's getting out of hand and it's scary.
All right, so you earlier mentioned that the buck doesn't just lie on the table of the executive, the president, and the minister.
Oh, yes.
You talked about we as citizens. What do you think citizens can do concerning insecurity, right?
In your own terrain, try as much as possible to keep your own terrain safe, as little as you can.
How do you keep your terrain safe?
No, because let's say you have a place where your house is not fenced. and the walls are just bare. What you can do is get what you call it, the burglaries, and you can just put it around there. That's
not cheap.
I know, but exactly. But your life is much more expensive.
A lot of persons are feeding from hand to mouth, right?
True.
They're living like that.
And that is why there are some areas in Abuja here that they get the youth and tell them, okay, please, you all stay awake, you keep vigilance and all of this. There are little minimal things that you can do.
How equipped are these youth?
That's
because
the
most
thing.
times we get to, even the vigilantes, I have them in my estate, like around the estate, and you get to see that, you see what they are holding. They're holding this baton,
sticks.
Yes. How equipped are these people? The vigilantes, securities and all of that. That we want them to even help us, because sometimes even the military who are sent to these places to help combat insecurity, at the end of the day they lose. We've seen many of them die. We just hear that, a few Boko Haram or terrorists were injured, but we see a lot of our security men die in action. So how equipped are these people? These people are holding, these other people, the terrorists, are holding guns and, sophisticated weapons.
Yes.
So how equipped are our military men and even what do you call them again, the vigilante we have in our local community?
Like, before we extend it to the military men, officers and soldiers of the army who are in the forefront of this war of insurgency, like I said, we have little ways and we can play little roles on our own. You'll be surprised at the little information that you will give when you see someone that, like you see, I saw a video where these scavengers around, they pretend to be scavengers, but they're trying to watch your household to see what can happen at night. These are little information that you can set out there. These are little impact that you make makes a lot of difference. You'll be surprised that little information that you give out, or when you see something, you say something.
But has that strategy been working? Because there was one time they brought up the whistleblower, where you see something, you say it out. But how fast do security agents, because we have the police who are there to help protect us as citizens, we also have the civil defense too there. But most times when you carry out this information, you see something, you say something, you write this, you write that. Sometimes they'll tell you, you have to fuel the vehicle because we don't have vehicle to always come over to see what's going on. Sometimes they tell you write statement over and over again. The response team seems not to be very sweet like we want it to be.
I think you're still judging this aspect of the police back in the day. We saw that back in the day. That was what it was.
No, it still happened. It happened a few weeks ago in my estate.
Okay, but it's not but the truth.
Okay, yes, I'm not saying that they are not doing it.
They've improved.
Exactly. Yes, but we still see this.
Yeah, we see these lacunas. Will not go away with a twinkle, with the snap of a finger. It will take time. It's a process, and of course, we know that they say the bad egg spoils the brunch and all of that. Of but with time, you can see that there are individuals that have integrity that will want to fight this war to the end. And let's just try as much as possible to just do the little that we can, and know that government has a major role to play by equipping our military. They need to be equipped, like you said, compared to the insurgents who have sophisticated guns. They have this manpower, pump action, like you mentioned. For it's true, but as much as you can, you as an individual, you have that little role to play, and it goes a long way. Just try as much as possible. I know it's expensive to keep your surroundings secure and all of that, but at least that little, coming together with neighbors and saying, okay, fine, bring this, bring 5,000, bring 10,000, let's add up together and just try. It goes a long way to keep your terrain safe. It doesn't take much. Life is much more expensive. Truly.
I think in Nigeria, we'll just keep everything in the hands of God right now.
Exactly.
As it is in the country. Because I don't think, no matter the amount of security agents you have around, somehow these people just have their way. Sometimes it could be information. Your neighbor could even be the one passing information to the wrong hands, and before you know it, they nab you.
That's why you should know the people around you. Very important. Be a detective like Inspector Gadget. It's very important.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Jumai,
thank you for having me, Ogo. Thank you.
All right. So President Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to defeating terrorism, insisting that sacrifices of Nigerians' armed forces would not be in vain. We hope and we pray that, yes, the sacrifices of the Nigerian armed forces will not be in vain. I am Ogochukwu Mombilo, and this is where I close the curtains for Social Buzz on Global Morning. I'll be leaving you in the hands of Jumai and Uyi as they take us into the discussion section of Global Morning. Good morning once again, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, it's Global Morning on Global Television. And that was Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobuna talking about insecurity and the issue that happened in Benin Sheikh. May the souls of all the faithful departed rest in perfect peace. And with all about this talk on insecurity and all of that, it's making me hungry. And of course, have you had breakfast this morning?
No, I was craving something steamy from a cup. I don't want to call names because you would likely judge me. I don't want to be judged.
I won't judge you. But I think I want yam and egg sauce. I think that would be best for me right now.
Sounds like a brilliant idea.
Sounds like a plan, right?
Right.
All right, let's go over to Taste and Texture. Let's see what they have for breakfast. I'm sure it's yam and eggs. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone and welcome to Taste and Texture. This is Sada Sugariba, your creative chef. In today's episode of the program, we'll be making yam and scrambled eggs. Yam and egg is the ultimate breakfast consumed in Nigerian homes. The delicious richness of yam pairs nicely with the egg and other ingredients that you'd love to make this over and over again. Ingredients: yam, 4 eggs, chopped onions, chopped fresh tomatoes, chopped peppers, seasoning cubes, salt, vegetable oil, and water. To prepare, peel the yam and cut into desired sizes. Add your peeled yam into a pot. Add salt and water and cover to boil. For the scrambled eggs, dice your onions, tomatoes, and peppers into desired sizes and add into a bowl. Break 4 eggs into a different bowl and add salt. Add some oil in a pan and heat up. Fry the onions for a bit and add pepper and tomato mix. Fry the mixture for 3 to 5 minutes while stirring gently. Add some seasoning cubes for taste and stir again. Add your eggs to the fried mixture and allow to fry for 3 to 5 minutes while stirring gently. Allow the oil to evaporate and turn down the heat. There you have it, your yam and scrambled eggs is ready. That's a wrap on today's episode of Taste and Texture. I hope you enjoyed these culinary demonstrations and trust you will try this recipe at home. Be sure to join me again for yet another taste-friendly delicacy. I am Saadatu Garba, your creative chef, saying thank you for watching.
All right, you're welcome back from that episode of Taste and Texture. And Uyi, I don't know why Uyi is looking at me like that.
Well, I said something about the yam. I can't pretend I really like the yam, but then maybe we need to wait to see what the egg will turn out to be like by way of taste. You know what they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
Yes, it is.
You know, but I think I like the yam. It's now for me to determine whether I want to eat it with beans, which in Abuja they call porridge.
Okay.
Right. Or I want to devise alternatives. But for whatever it's worth, I think that's an amazing breakfast idea.
Combo.
Something that's light at the same time can keep you going up until when it's time for lunch again and things like that.
Exactly. Well spoken.
Right. We'll say a big thank you to the crew behind this production.
Yeah.
It's brief, but then a lot of work goes into it.
Yes, it does. Well done.
All right, talking about putting in the work, that's exactly what the opposition and, of course, the incumbent government in Nigeria are doing right now, whether it's the APC and the ADC or the APC and the PDP. It's pretty much the same thing, knowing that 2027 is not far-flung, and as such, it's going to be a game of how early you start. Yesterday, here on Big Talk, while I was filling in for my colleague Ubangusoro, the guest I hosted, who happens to be the chairman of the African Democratic Congress in Benue State, did talk about how that the ADC is at some sort of disadvantage right now, given that it has had its own internal wrangling that has now impacted its ability to stay up all night, so to speak, and plan towards 2027. It appears to be the same thing for most of the other parties on the opposition side, whether it's the Labour or the PDP. But the case of PDP is very unique, Joe, because the national leader of the party, Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has made clear, abundantly clear, that look, we are not feeding candidates in 2027. In fact, if anything, we're supporting President Bola Tinubu. We've also spoken with senior members of the party in Abuja and beyond the city who say that if the PDP wants to be really strategic in this election, it has to, as it were, perish the thoughts, as they say, of fielding candidates at the presidential level. Instead, throw your weight behind the incumbent president, Bola Tinubu, and then take the time, put in the energy, and plan for 2031. But what again we have seen amongst other manifestations right now is that the 2027 general election will not be exactly the same as what we saw in 2023.
No, I think, it's going to take a different toll, a different game altogether, and of course a different strategy, because there are so many individuals that are coming in with different mindsets when it comes to this particular general election. But like you said, it's really good. For me, I think it's going to take a toll. I don't think it will remain the same. There's just something, it's just me, Jumai, saying it now. I think it's something that is going to be different than what we've ever seen before. Will I say complications? A little bit, but at the same time, this is an election. I think this is an election that we've all been waiting for, in my own words, basically.
You know, it's interesting. There are quite a number of angles to it. First of all, Professor Joshua Mbuto, the man in the saddle, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, says that not just him as an individual, but the commission, talking about INEC as the umpire, has concerns around electioneering in Nigeria beyond 2027.
Yes.
The first thing he talked about was violence. Of course, you and I, we know how that.
Oh yes, we know how that works.
Usually would record pockets of instances of violence, and of course you need to also don't live in denial regarding issues that have to do with voter apathy, which he has also emphasized.
Yes, he did.
But again, what solutions are we preferring? Because it seems everybody knows the problems with the challenges we're confronted with in this country. But what solutions are we preferring? Who is taking responsibility for driving strategy around those solutions? For example, if you talk specifically about violence, some of us have lost people who are dear to us to election violence, not because they went there to make trouble. They were just caught in the web. They were crossfire kind of thing, right? So what must we do now as governments and as INEC to deal with violence? Of course, you can't address issues of violence, especially as it has to do with the elections in this country, without bringing in the security, as it were, agencies, all right? You can't talk about voter apathy without asking yourself, what are the factors that inhibit people, so to speak, from going to cast their ballots? How is it that you are in a country where there's election or there are elections, and then you have a valid voter card, whether you call it PVC or by whatever.
You still at home.
And people are not going out to vote. Yes, we can say, well, it's because they're not patriotic enough. But in any case, are we also patriotic enough to not understand that there are challenges, there are obstacles that must be removed for people to feel incentivized enough to have trust in public institutions, including in INEC? Because most people who do not vote do not have confidence in INEC. And it has never been a secret. So those are some of the big issues we have to deal with.
Yes, exactly. Like, I said it, we said it on this program, was it last week or so? And we said a lot of individuals are tired. When you look at the AMAC election that took place in Abuja, we saw what happened. The voter apathy was much. A lot of people preferred to just stay home, watch movies, wash clothes, and then that was it for them. Like I said, INEC has a major role in all of this. You have to come out yourself with worth, transparency, and accountability, showing that, okay, it's not the same as usual. It's a different ball game now. Okay, this is it now. These are what I put in place. I'm working with other mediums. Like there was someone that came and spoke about the e-transmission and said it has worked. We can actually monitor these electoral processes. I think INEC can key into such private individuals who have the vision on how to make this seamless. If you want to prove your worth, it's not. I know that INEC is the only credible platform or medium in which elections are being held. We know all of that, but you can work with other individuals also who have an idea on how to, help electoral process become seamless. Working together doesn't mean that you're giving them the power. At the end of the day, you have the power. But in order to show transparency, in order to show that, okay, we understand that there is a lacuna here, but we're ready to cover all of that lacuna and move forward. So you can still have faith in electoral processes. It's like I said, the ball starts with INEC first. Once individuals start seeing a different game on it entirely, working with different private organizations in order to, ensure that the elections are free, they are transparent, you can actually see the results, whether it's e-transmission, which is an issue at that point, but it's better you start and know that at least you've started a process in order to move forward. So once you start that, you bring in the media, you talk about, it's not all about press briefs and all of that. It's much more than that. Right. The awareness in which you create, and you need the media to actually help you push all of these initiatives forward. I think when that starts happening and people start seeing a different INEC altogether, they will have that mindset, okay, it's not business as usual. It's not going to be, it's their election. They know who their candidate is. Because that's the mindset of so many people. It's their election. They already know who the president will be. They already know who the governor of this particular state will be. They already know. Not excluding themselves as we have the power to pick who we want. We have the power to pick the president we want. We have the power to pick the governor we want. We have the power to actually initiate this process to give us the result that we desire and want. I think when it starts with the Independent National Electoral Commission first, you give us a reason to come out to vote, showing us that, okay, fine, I'm neither here nor there. I'm only going to do my job in the best way possible, transparency, accountability, and of course, with credibility. It goes a long way to give that Nigerian out there who has decided, because there are people right now that have decided they're not going to go out to vote. They've made up their mind. Yes, they have their PVC, but they've made up their mind that whatever happens, you might just have that hullabaloo of, oh yes, this is the person we want, oh yes, because people are shouting and making, but at the long run, you'll be surprised. But we don't pray it gets to that point. And that is why INEC can actually make that amends now and do the best and do the needful now to show Nigerians that it's not business as usual. Change has come, and change starts with INEC before it extends to us as Nigerians.
Juma, I mean, those are brilliant points you've highlighted, no doubt. But the thing is, while we say prepare early, start as early as possible, in this case, I'm sure it is a consensus that INEC has started with, early enough, all right? But the concern always is the outcome of election.
True.
By some estimates, or if you like, some assessments, it said that voter turnout from one election to another every other 4-year cycle has steadily dropped. It may not be the same margin for every election cycle, but the decline has been steady, it's been consistent, it's been constant. So how is it that the people, the number of persons who actually had come out to vote in 2027 are fewer than what you had in 2011? And the number in 2015 is lower than what you had, all right, in 2011. And it just goes all the way down like that. Is INEC looking at those numbers? Who is punching, or as it were, crunching those numbers for not just INEC but for the country? What data do we have coming out from the National Bureau of Statistics?
Exactly.
Do political parties, especially the leading ones, whether it's the PDP, the APC, ABGA, Labour, what have you, what are they doing in terms, because it's part of their job, it's part of their remit as political parties to ensure that people come out to vote, because you are not just a political party in isolation, you are a Nigerian political party.
First.
Yes, because it just shows clearly that you have interest, you have a stake, a very substantial one in the Nigerian project. So what are political parties doing to ramp up not just membership registration numbers, but voter numbers? It would be a shame, for example, if you say you are a political party, you have 5 million members. Then there's an election, a national election. People who come out to vote, the number is abysmal. It goes to show that the bulk of your members do not vote. Let's forget about those who may be in the diaspora, those who may be indisposed to go vote. But how many of them actually are staying at home, playing football, watching movies, and doing other things, instead of going out to vote on election? We have to deal with that. We now have to also ask ourselves, are our security agencies primed enough for election day activities? It's very important. It's beyond having to station policemen here, NSCDC officers there, some military men over here. It's understanding what exactly their role is, the kind of work, the amount of work that is cut out for them on election day. It's beyond just identifying those who are in essential duties and are allowed to move, and those who are supposed to be at the polling units or be in their homes if they are not of age to vote, for example. We need to look at all that. Again, we go back to the recently concluded or conducted area council elections here in Abuja. If we're to use that, Jumai, as, if you like, yes, a case study, or to say, let's use it as some sort of basis for insight into what we should be expecting in 2027. The picture looks grim, it doesn't look good, all right? Which again should now, of course, it was on that basis, INEC chairman was saying that we need to deal with violence, we need to deal with voter apathy, because there must be a reason people don't come out to vote. I remember back then in school, it was first year, I think, maybe second, a certain professor had talked about how that there was a time, because here he was teaching American history, where in the United States, people were reluctant, of course that was several years ago, to come out to vote. But then they devised strategies as to how do we encourage, not by manipulating people, but by making them realize that you have a stake in this process. It's not just about politicians or the political class. One of the things they did was to say, maybe we can have some social events, throw party, have drinks, have snacks, let people come together, and all of that. This was more than 200 years ago. And it did work for them. Fast forward to 2008, when Obama had started campaigning while he was still at the Senate, but now he was vying for the office of the president. You could see big-time celebrities across different spheres of the creative industry in the US coming out to not only vote, but to go to people's homes, elderly people, as they call them, senior citizens, to bring them out to vote. Do you know how it feels when you see a Beyonce, a Mariah Carey, you see a Jay-Z on your front porch, and they're saying, I'm here to take you out to vote and I'm going to bring you back home. People got incentivized, especially in black communities.
Exactly.
It worked for America, it worked for Americans. So the question is, what will work for Nigeria? What will work for Nigerians in terms of ramping up voter numbers, so that by 2027, we do not fold our arms again looking helpless as to, well, maybe we should have done this, maybe we should have done that. This is the best time to get our thinking cap on?
Yes, and like I said, it takes a lot of work, and that's a big question mark because I'm sure a lot of individuals have run out of ideas on what will make this work for individuals to come out and vote. You know, someone mentioned Barrister Edie. He said that his dad, who is 70, he keeps saying, "What are these people? What are they doing for?" That age gap, and they tell you that they do not understand what is happening. So it's going to take a lot. It has to take a lot of strategy. But at the same point, I feel it's never too late. You can always make a difference, even at the smallest or barest minimum. So hopefully there's going to be a strategy that will be out to give individuals, will I say Nigerians, that hope to come out and vote and do the needful, because it's your right, and you are the one that has that call to play, no one else.
Right, that's what it is. So we're taking a break now, everyone. When we return, there's so much to talk about here on Global Morning. As always, of course, we have so much of politics ahead of us. We'll be looking at the APC as the ruling party today. Also, we'll be taking our time to talk about the place or the role of citizens in a democracy such as we have right now. If you actually had seen yesterday's edition of Issues with Ramsey Enoch Agbo and his two guests, you already have an insight into what some of the issues or challenges are in Nigeria as of today. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
The big stories in Nigeria this week is an advisory from the U.S. authorities urging its members of staff in our country, especially those it describes as non-essential workers, to leave the country as quickly as possible. Now, that advisory goes ahead to name specific states in Nigeria where there are certain concerns. 1 minute is banditry and insurgency, the next it is kidnapping, armed robbery, and even carjacking. So the advisory is as detailed as it comes. But for Nigeria, there has also been a response from the authorities, the government here, saying that, look, Nigeria is safe. Yes, we may have challenges, we may have pockets of attacks here and there, but Nigeria is safe. Therefore, this advisory is, as it were, a cup or a tea it's storm in a teacup, and as such, it's not something that should be taken seriously. So for the Nigerian government, it is safe to say that the U.S. government is hyping the situation as we know it. But like we have seen, yes, the U.S. has gotten off on the wrong foot on 1 or 2 occasions regarding advisory to citizens, some sort of, if you like, public statements, and so on and so forth. And then you're wondering, you're asking yourself, first of all, this is damaging for Nigeria. But how is it that we do not seem to be having strongly worded conversation with the U.S. authorities in terms of all of this kind of advisory? It's like we say, let's say you sell biscuits or what my children call cookies, for instance. And then every time I go on social media, I talk about that if you buy cookies made by Jumai's company, you might end up having stomach cramp, or you might end up becoming restless at night, and things like that. The impression that gives to everybody who is a lover of cookies is that, if anything, maybe I've said some good things about your brand of cookies, but that I've mentioned that it can upset your stomach is enough reason for somebody to rethink, of course, the choice of whether to buy your brand of cookies or not. Of course, that's that is well, it could be seen as defamation of character when it comes to that sort of particular issue. And no one wants to associate with things that are not good.
And that is what is happening right now. The US is painting a picture about Nigeria that we know of course we know that we're trying to curb this menace of insecurity. It's there. But it's not as bad as it's bad. Don't get it wrong.
Right.
But the way it's being portrayed out there is different from what it is here. And it's really it's taking a toll on Nigeria. Really it is. Like now with the evacuation of the US citizens, now it's another issue that other countries are watching and saying, what is actually going on? Really,
Right.
is it as bad as attacking foreigners who are coming into this country to make, to make ends meet or to promote their own country? That's bilateral relationships and all that. It's really going to take a toll on Nigeria, and it's just unfortunate that this is where we are now, and that is why insecurity is a major challenge. I don't want to say a challenge. I want to always be positive when I talk about insecurity.
Right.
It's a problem, but at the same time, by the grace of God, it will be nipped in the bud. And that's why I keep saying once we solve this issue of insecurity, every other thing just it's seamless. And because insecurity is a major problem, and that is why it's causing all of these hearsays and all of these issues that are happening in Nigeria at the moment. It's just unfortunate, but hopefully, with all hands on deck, it will be nipped in the bud.
We are believing it will be nipped in the bud. But there are several lessons I'm sure we can learn from this, Juma. First of all, an advisory like this carries the potential of creating not just chaos, but anxiety.
Yes.
Of course, panic
Fear.
within the public. Yes. Because the U.S. is saying to its workers here, for those of you who are non-emergency workers, you've got to leave the country with your families. Now, let's be clear, you have quite a number of them, Americans who are working here for the American government in Nigeria. So if those people leave, it also has its own implications, right? Of course, our image is at stake in that regard.
Very true.
A second lesson is a reminder for us as a government and as a country to say, look, it's high time you fixed or at least addressed your security or insecurity challenge. Because it's on the basis of insecurity overall that the U.S. is issuing this advisory. It's nothing else. It's not because there's some feud between Nigeria and the U.S. or because we're fighting over some trade tariffs on account of President Trump's, if you like, policy direction and things like that. It's basically on account of insecurity. Now ask yourself for a second, if 2, 3, 4, 5 more other countries were to issue the same advisory, what exactly would be the implication? We need to look at that because it's a case of now saying that there's repercussion, there are consequences for actions or even inactions, because this has now again raised the question of, are we sincerely, genuinely fighting insecurity in our country? Because we know that for conversations like this, it's easy to turn them into political debates, and somebody's going to say, well, it's because Americans or the American government doesn't like Nigeria, or it's because
they didn't have their way at the beginning.
But when you look at that advisory, holistically from a place of, being dispassionate
and not emotional,
right? Would you not see that there are elements that point back at us to say you have a lot of work to do now as a country?
Yes, although that's correct. At the point in another phase when it comes to this particular issue, it shows that we have a lot when it comes to trying to fight and curb this particular issue, which is insecurity. And maybe the Americans know something we don't, although
by way of intel.
By the way of intel, maybe they know something we don't, or it's easy for they have more gadgets, they are more involved when it comes
more
to sophisticated when it comes to this issue of insecurity, and they have their ways. They will speak to you indirectly. It's left for you to be smart about it, to
figure it out
and put the puzzles together. Yes, and maybe there is something they know and we don't, or maybe with all of this said and done, despite the fact that Trump came in, which we saw it as a blessing in disguise that made all the governors, on their feet when it comes to trying to curb this menace of insecurity. Every state governor, all hands were on deck at the beginning. We saw that wave of this governor doing this, trying to assist, and then later on it just dwindled down and we stopped hearing about that. And now we're hearing spate of attack in, of course, what happened in Jos and other places in Nigeria. So I think we have a lot to do when it comes to this issue of insecurity. And of course, maybe there are financiers that are benefiting so much from insecurity that, of course, we know that they know, and maybe their hands are tied to spill out or say something. But at the same time, I think it's more to it than meets the eye. For me, I think there's much more to it that you and I do not know. But we should look at it in between. We shouldn't just look at it as, okay, they are trying to paint Nigeria in a certain light that of we are that sort of country, insecurity. We are not a force to reckon with when it comes to living here, especially with families, if you are foreigners.
Right.
But at the same time, we should take a close look at what is happening around and know whether really are we truly, genuinely trying to curb this menace that is a monster in Nigeria, which is insecurity.
Incidentally, speaking of insecurity, the U.S., we understand, had dispersed some of its troops to Nigeria recently. But of course, Nigerian government had swiftly responded to speculations all over the place that, look, they are not here for combat-related engagements. They are only here to assist with things like intelligence gathering, maybe some sort of capacity building in the area of battle readiness, intelligence in particular, and things like that. You see why it's also important and very crucial for government to be very forthcoming when it comes to public interest issues such as these, so that there can be clarity. You're able to knock off all kinds of assumptions, because assumptions themselves can be dangerous, and they say assumption is the weakest form of knowledge.
Yes, it is.
Which again is very important. All right, that's that for the issue of the U.S. and the advisory it has issued to its non-emergency workers or members of staff here in Nigeria. But there's this on a very, if you like, was it lighter note, or maybe we'll say from a purely human angle standpoint, the issue around social media influencer. I guess that's the generic name for that.
Yes.
Yes, the popular Blessing CEO. She has been in the news now for a while for all the wrong reasons. Right? Before now, we know she had her own sort of footprints on social media. She had been an influencer. She had made the news time and again. But this time, exactly. But this time it's quite a different kettle of fish altogether. This week, Joe, I had to ask somebody. I said, "How do you describe Blessing CEO in terms of what kind of work she does?" I can say Juma Manson is a broadcaster. I can say she's a communications consultant. But what are the designations I can affiliate a lady like Blessing CEO with? And the person said, well, she's a relationship coach. I said, that sounds a bit generic.
Yes.
Even though I know she throws in a bit of advice here and there every other time and things like that. But she's more like somebody my mom would say is in soup right now. I mean, every time my mom told you were in soup, you were really in soup. So it's a matter of what kind of soup it was. All right. But you were surely in soup. Now,
for people wondering, it means trouble.
Right.
People wondering, what soup is he talking about? It means trouble.
Because this is quite embarrassing. How do you come out and say you had cancer? You gave the impression, you painted a picture that, look, this lady here has cancer. In fact, you called it stage 4 cancer. These are not things you play with.
No.
We had a fine, gentle military general in this country. I mean, a soldier by all definitions, who at the time was even the chief of army staff.
Yes.
That's talking about Taoreed Lagbaja, blessed memory, himself a full-fledged general. We were told that he died of stage 4 cancer.
Yes.
And the news, the sound of that news itself would send jitters down your spine, because this is a man everybody was used to saying, doing his work, has constitutionally caught up for him and things like that.
His job.
And but a lady comes out from nowhere, from social media, not from nowhere, and says she has stage 4 cancer. And fast forward to the last couple of days, or for the last 1 week now, we're hearing that all of those results that she had actually flaunted on social media were doctored from Somo's original results for cancer. And that lady has purportedly come out. We've seen that video, at least as of dinner time yesterday. I saw that video saying that, look, I am her makeup artist. I was the one that shared my results with her, because that lady, we understand, is a cancer survivor.
Yes.
Juma, I won't say anything more than this, because I mean, she's a lady like you, and you guys say women support women.
No,
so
no, no,
throw your
no,
support
not
at
this
this
one.
point.
No.
Are you withdrawing your support?
There's a limit where you support women. You support
not
women,
on issues like this.
Not on issues like you support women who have integrity. You support women who are genuine,
industrious.
You support women who are
industrious,
who are role models, who have credibility. Those are the women that you throw your weight behind, and you stand and you beat your chest as a woman and say she's a woman, she's strong, whatever she's doing, we support her 100%. But not one that misleads the public on the falsehood. Do you know what that means, Uyi? And to pretend, and do you know what it means to have cancer? It's deadly. It's something that it has shortened the lives of prominent individuals. Do you know the void that's caused in homes, the figures that have died of cancer? It takes a toll on the family. And then you come out and lie with such. Come on. I don't think it's unforgiving. And to look at how you have misled a lot of young girls who feel that, okay, they can come out and lie, they'll get so much money and they'll get away with it. No. I think the law has to take its course. It's very important. Because a lot of young girls, especially these Gen Zs that they have sent by God's grace, they look at individuals and they just make sense out of things that are not sensible. Someone can just see that and say, oh my goodness, that's the fastest way of becoming. Because I hear that at the long run, she had almost 14 million naira with what we heard, plus or minus.
So well, again, like you said, it depends on who you are listening to or what you're reading.
Exactly.
So Bible saying 18 million. But she did raise money.
She did. And there are lots of young girls who are watching and see. They might even actually think that this is a way of life and you can get away with it. No, you cannot. There's sometimes when you have to portray the nicest things to promote yourself as a role model. Not like this. This is so wrong. It's so wrong. Like your heart should prick you when you do things like this. It's so wrong. And I don't think well, you have to have the fear of God to do some things. I always tell people. And I think it depends on, a friend of mine will always say it depends on your background, where you're from. If you're in a background where they've taught you fundamentals when it comes to values, virtues, morals, I don't think you'll ever try this stunt in your life because you wonder what your family will think of you or say. Hey, come on.
I'm here wondering, what exactly was the motive from the ground up? Was it just to raise money? Which you understand she was already in the middle of raising. She had raised something substantial at that point in time because those who contributed had believed the entire time that she actually had cancer. We are hearing that one of those persons who also contributed was the popular very dark one, VDM, who we are also now learning is taking her to court because he's asking for a refund of his money, having now learned and who knows confirmed that this lady has never up until this point had cancer in her life. And you know, that angle to it, Jumai, is not just going to be interesting, it will be dramatic because of the VDM element.
Of course.
It's going to ensure that he beats out,
drags her
every money she collected on account of this, what is fast becoming a scam.
Yes, it is.
Right now, which means that she has also done damage to people who may genuinely have concern, may not even be about health tomorrow. And they need the help, they need the support of the public. Now, people are going to have to go the extra mile of doing so much of background checks, trying to double check them, due diligence to ensure that they are putting their money where their mouth is, you know, because one person has actually made an attempt to deceive the public. Because
she did deceive the public.
Right.
How
do you say you are reluctant to release your health, records? You say, well, they are private to you, but you're coming to the public to ask for money. It took somebody to ask that tough question. And when doctors confront you and say to you, can we see the diagnosis? It becomes a problem. We even understand that a doctor had said on television that, look, I know that results. I am aware of that diagnosis. And I know the doctor and the clinic where it was done, the original one. But that wasn't you. That was a different individual altogether. Here's what I think, or even suspect. I may eventually be wrong. I see her coming out in no distant time to apologize for this. But I also see that apology not being genuine, not being sincere.
No, but she did. Let me correct you. She came out and making a joke of the whole matter and
that
saying,
was what I was heading, that the apology will not be sincere.
and she came out and said even people that don't even like her donate, and she was laughing.
Right. So
that is so
do you
wrong.
see that as a sincere apology?
No,
of course
I do not.
Right. But again, I think she had just, as it were, thrown any clouds, any social media value she had to the dogs right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure there's a comeback from this to what it had been for her.
And that is why, as an individual, integrity is very important. The way you carry yourself. She might be repentant tomorrow. I want to start off a big business or start afresh, and that
impact of it.
The impact. People will look at you that way. They will not see the transformed in, because we're humans. God is
that picture sticks.
Because God is the most merciful. He's the one that gives second chances. He doesn't even think about the wrong that you have done or the things that you have done in the past. He looks at you with that new you. But we're human beings. We'll always reflect back to. Remember this, we'll call her names, call her all sorts of names. Remember this lady? Oh my goodness. No one will ever take her seriously. And then when she has children, that's a stigma on the kids. So
It just becomes a cycle.
It becomes a cycle. And the thing is, you see, once we are, our actions, we have to think about tomorrow, what it will bring. It's very important. People forget all about that. You forget that whatever you do today, you would definitely reap tomorrow. If you don't, your children will reap them. It's just unfortunate that people don't, they throw integrity to the bin, morals, values, traditions. I don't know how people think, but we all have various backgrounds. Well, anyway, let me just leave it like that.
I think that's a good place to leave it so far. But this is an unfolding story, really.
Yes, it is.
It is an unfolding story. I will hope this doesn't end up any worse than it already is right now. We're taking a quick break. The rest of Global Morning returns shortly. Please stay with us. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Our last conversation on the show today will look at the intersection of politics and national development. We're joined at this point by Dr. Abdul Yahya. He's the Deputy National Chairman, Grassroots Mobilization for All Progressives Congress, APC, nationwide. Doc, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Right. Well, let's start. Let's talk about, first of all, the connection, as it were, if you like, the nexus between politics and national development. Because in the case of Nigeria, it seems it's all about politics today, politics tomorrow, and politics the day that follows. At what point do we marry both of them as a country?
Okay, thank you so much. As you can see, democracy today gave us the bullet, the ballot in our hand that we used to vote. And that ballot will transfer to what we can use for national development tomorrow. Because what we vote for determines your future.
Interesting. But again, it's 2027 in front of us. I mean, politicians like yourself are busy doing all of the politicking, peddling narratives. Everybody's trying to get their foot in the door, find some sort of, if you like, specific areas of advantage. The ruling party, your party, the APC, is doing their own game, and the opposition side is playing their own game and things like that. Would you say, at this point in time, as a country and as a government, we may be distracted from pursuing development because of the 2027 ambition?
Yes, I agree with you. Because if you look at our future, is highly determined by what we, come 2027, what our vote will give to us. Once we vote rightly, like we are advocacy, mobilizing for APC, what we give to the public, if you vote for us, you are sure that we have continuity in policy. You are sure that, yes, the voters, the citizens, will enjoy and have courage to partake in future democratic exercise. And once you have been discouraged, taken away by one or two other things, violence, protests, lies, it will affect the economic development of this country. So as much as possible, We should tell our people. We should sensitize our people. Now we're in an engagement era. And this era is an era that, yes, we should let people know that there are differences between you engaging in political violence, in political protests, or to put down our economic development. You cannot have peace. You cannot make money when there's no peace.
I'm sure Juma has a question.
Now, let's just look at credibility, transparency, and accountability. How can that be entwined when it comes to democratic institutions?
Yeah, as much as possible. In life you cannot give it all 100%. A lot of policy have been back up. Like democracy has been the best thing that's ever happened to this nation. Today, your vote counts. What you bring to the table is what you have. What you vote for is your future of yourself and your generation. And I thank God to thank our Mr. President. He has a strategic plan for Nigeria. He's not the type of president that look at imitate. He's somebody that put a strategic and holistic plan of the nation into one umbrella and make sure he's driving it for a cause. And that cause is what we are preaching. That's what we are saying. That Nigerians should please ensure that he returns to ensure what? Quality of governance, continuity of policy, and to give everybody right. Like come to see, like Nigeria, at least 65 to 70% of our nation population still fall back to the youth age. The youth. And this youth age is what we use to enhance development. It's what we use to create employment. Statistically, if you look at Nigeria, we've gone beyond, surpass the period of us depending so much on importation.
You know what? Someone listening to you right now would say, Honorable, I beg to differ. Because you made mention, you said, whoever we vote in comes into power. Now, let me take you back to the INEC chairman, not the person than Josh Amupiton, who says the part of the problem of electoral process are two when it comes to thuggery, right? And then the second one is voter apathy. Now, how can we nip these two in the bud in order to get better results when it comes to electoral process in Nigeria? And let me take you again, because these are many questions in one. During the AMAC election in Abuja, we saw the turnout, nothing to write home about. And when I asked a guest of mine, can we use this turnout to predict the outcome of 2027? He said no. And I'm wondering why. So talk a bit about that, please.
You do mention of AMAC election. During the AMAC election, we partake in the AMAC election. The turnout was poor. And because the turnout was poor, Abuja, as the capital of Nigeria, is an elite town. The population of indigenous is about 5 to 10%. And most people don't know that democracy at grassroots has much impact on your well-being and the society at large. So we cannot use that turnout of the AMAC election to predict or determine the presidential and governorship election, what's coming in 2027 by the special grace of God. As you rightly mentioned, what we have in AMAC, they say the volume of what you are going to determine the strategy you deploy for it. Come the next, by the special 2027 election, every Nigerian has come to understand that most people that are sponsoring this thuggery, that are calling the political apathy, their children are not Nigerian. The association of aggrieved politicians that have looted Nigeria, frustrated Nigerian, and their families are enjoying abroad. Not like me and you that are children that are schooling in the public school in Nigeria, in Abuja here. So now, if you are being used as thug, you should know that one, you've killed your future. Ask those politicians, where are their family members? Where are their children? Okay, they call for protest. They'll call you, give you little money, gin, some drugs that'll cause harm to your system and your mental health. They'll tell you, go and do this. At that process, a lot of them have been arrested. At that process, a lot of them have been killed. And that's why, as grassroots mobilization, we are mobilizing and sensitizing people that come. These people should not come and lie to us any longer. If anybody should come and tell you that, don't do it, do this, ask the person, okay, let your family member, your wife or your son, lead. If you are going to distribute arms or give them what will destroy them, let your own family member come and tell us. At that time, at that process, we will now know that yes, these people are fooling us. There are a lot of posts on social media sensitizing and educating people that yes, we should not be used as dogs. Your vote is your right. As much as possible, democracy have given us ballot. What to do with the ballot determines our future. And by the special grace of God, some of us have gone down to the local area. We've done our perception audit at the local area.
What was the outcome?
Yes, the perception audit we had is a lot of awareness are not gotten to people at the grassroots.
Who do we blame? Politicians, INEC, or civil society organizations?
Media.
In fact, if we look at it critically and holistically, we'll blame some people holding some sensitive position in the economy. There are a lot of programs already on ground. The people at the grassroots are not even aware to take advantage of it. It's only few. Like if you look at today, the education policy, where Mr. President is the first time in the history of Nigeria that the president has come out with a loan for students.
Not NEL fund.
NEL fund. That parents don't go and sell their property. Parents don't go longer to sell their farmland to pay for their children's tuition fee. But all such information are not the grassroots for the parents. So by the special grace of God, we are trying our best to tell them. And by the special grace of God, with time, I know that Nigeria will realize that it's better to have a long-term plan, a long-term strategic plan, a long-term holistic plan for the nation than a short-term one that we've experienced in the past.
Not too long ago, a little over a year ago, the president told his cabinet members, especially ministers, to say, look, you have to do more work in spotlighting and creating visibility for the impact we are making, especially on the basis of the Renewed Hope agenda. Two questions in one here. First of all, did the president have to specifically give that directive? Second, how much has that directive paid off in terms of implementation or carrying out the directive?
Yeah, like just as I've told you that I did my organization, my support group, we took it upon ourselves, we finance ourselves, we come together as grassroots mobilization for APC nationwide.
On behalf of the president and the party?
Both the party and the president. We went down to the grassroots. What we discovered, there was a lot of gap.
Between what your government is doing and what the people are feeling?
No, not what the people are feeling. The information about what the government is doing.
Okay, maybe opportunities available they are not aware of.
They're not aware. So the president gave that directive based on the feedback he's having from the grassroots. There are two things, sorry, give it to him. This is the first time we have a president that is more of a grassroots. And he listens to the people at the grassroots. His ears is on ground. I know in politics or in governance, you cannot be everywhere. But the feedback he had was what led him to give that instructions. Let my people know what is happening. Let my people feel this that I'm giving you. For the first time in Nigeria, Nigerians have outgrown the stage of looking for bailout to pay salary. The people at the grassroots, 80% of them are farmers, local government workers. In the past, we all witnessed that Nigerian governors were begging for bailout to enable them pay salary. But today is a thing of the past. Nobody, in fact, the boy of 4 or 5 years now will not even understand what they call bailout in Nigeria. Thank to Mr. President. So he gave us instruction based on the failures he is having, and to tell them that no, they should complement his effort and let the people at the grassroots know what he is doing. Thank you.
Now, let me ask a question. For when the necessary awareness is being made to douse the tension of voter apathy and people come out in their masses to vote, now how can political leaders be held accountable for campaign promises after 2027 election?
In fact, this is very, very important question. Because a lot of politicians, after being sworn in, they remain here in Abuja. They don't go back home. The people at home saw them only on occasion or keep them little incentives. But right now, that is what we are telling them, that yes, our own duty. As grassroots mobilization for APC nationwide, our duty is to enlighten the people at the grassroots that this is time to hold these people accountable. Before we vote you, these are electoral promises. If we want to get back to that office, periodically there must be a town hall meeting to tell us what and what, this is what you said, and this is what you've done. If not until we get that right, this development we are saying will not get to the people at grassroots 100%. The president is trying. The cloud is wide. It has dropped to the cloud. How can it drop to the ground? And those are the areas we are looking at right now, and we are trying to make sure that we enhance the gap between the two, by the special grace of God.
Once the president, on the day of his inauguration on the 29th of May 2023, announced the suspension of fuel subsidy payments, one of the things he said following that very radical announcement was that, look, states will now get more allocation, more money on a monthly allocation basis. Of course, local government autonomy came in August of 2024 eventually. And we understand as of today, yes, that the enforcement of that rule, that's landmark judgment by the Supreme Court may not have been 100%, but we understand that local governments now getting hundreds of millions, where they used to get less than 100 million. Yesterday, a member of the ADC here said his local governments got up to $1 billion during this last cycle of disbursement of FARC and things like that. How do we measure the blessing, as it were, that is coming from the suspension of fuel subsidy payments? On top of all that, the landmark judgment ruling from the Supreme Court, because at the end of the day, we believe that the basic metric should be the quality of life of the everyday Nigerian, not by the figures coming out from the National Bureau of Statistics or from the presidency or even from your party, the APC.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. President, I give it to him. One of the fundamental responsibility of any leader is decision making. He came up, before swearing in, he had already had his own plan, holistic plan on how to drive Nigeria to the next level.
But he said that plan was not part of his speech for that day.
Even though it was not part of his speech for that day, but he pronounced it on that day. So whatever we've had is just assumption. It's just assumption. So he has come out to tell us that yes, first subsidy has been removed. And he promised that that first subsidy will be used for the states, and local government.
Right.
And there's nobody in Nigeria today that will not tell you that yes, the allocation of the state and local government has been increased. And that is why there are a lot of developmental projects, there are a lot of developmental projects, there are a lot of policies that they can embark on freely because they have the money to do it. At the local government level, thank God there's transparency in Nigeria. There's social media. Whatever goes to every local government, it's been published. It's not for the electorate to call the governors or call the people accountable for it. The implementation of local government autonomy in anything policy that's been enacted, being made a law, it has a process. This is the first time in Nigeria where a sitting president will follow up such case down to Supreme Court and get the victory. He has his plan. You make sure that yes, this policy is being implemented. That is why we are begging the people at grassroots, we are sensitizing them that there is need for continuity. The ballot paper that is in our hand in this democratic era is to vote. And once we vote wisely, once we vote well, one, we will ensure continuity of policy. And once we ensure this continuity of policy, the renewable agenda will now take us to the next level. Okay, we have a plan. You've done it to some bit, some step, a milestone. How can you harness it to implement it? That's the stage we are now. And by the special grace of God, one is being implemented. Nigerians at every level will be impressed with Mr. President. We're impressed with him. He has done a lot. We've seen changes. Bros, in policy making, since policy is for the people, it must affect some certain group of people. And as much as it must affect some certain group of people, you should not, because of that, look at the advantage that surpasses the disadvantage to stop it. So by the special grace of God, this money that the local government are getting today, they will be held accountable for it. We're in an era that, before you say Jack Robinson, somebody is returning your project and sending it to the social media. So I strongly believe Mr. President has come up with a transparent allocation law formula. Nigerians have seen that there's a robust money going to the state and local government that will enhance development at the grassroots, and both at the state level and the 3 tiers of government. So if they fail to take that responsibility, I strongly believe they'll be accounted for it.
All right, Honorable Abdul, talking about the grassroots now, as someone who is learning about all of this process, trying to understand it, what is the relationship between good governance and sustainable economic development?
Yeah. You know, good governance has to do with the policy formulation, implementation, planning process that will enhance development at the grassroots. And those developments, if you go to some, you just heard that Mr. President there's a pilot scheme or pilot program ongoing for agriculture in every ward in Nigeria today. There are a lot of disbursement for agricultural projects that's ongoing. There's solar electrification project ongoing for the people at the grassroots. And the president now understands that 60% of Nigerians that are not being able to pay their tuition fee are people that are in rural areas. That's why I now came up with Telephone and others. The Anchor Borrowing Program, the Farmers Program ongoing. And we thank Almighty God for our First Lady, Senator Mama of Nigeria. And we can see that this is the first time in the history of Nigeria the president of the whole world recognized her.
You're talking about President Trump.
Recognized her, which has never happened in the history of Africa. Because he commended the effort of her husband, of our dear president, to ensure that, yes, both the women, youth, are actively involved in prayers and activities of the government. Bros, me and you are youth. Since the inception of Nigeria, has there been any government that has youth involvement as ministers and set up a starter like this present government? The question we should ask ourselves. The future is in our hand. It's been given to us now. Why are we complaining? What we need to do is to contribute. See, we don't have any country of ours apart from Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the most peaceful and lovely countries that we can do anything freely in the world as citizens. So what to do is just to join hands together, collaborate together, and make sure that, yes, the renewable agenda of Mr. President is being actualized. We've given him the second tenure. Let's we have continuity of policy. Plus, you cannot start building a house. It's one of the fundamental problems we have in Nigeria is continuity of policies. Once there's change of governance or tenure enlargement and there's no continuity, If the past government built an edifice to even 90% completion stage, the other government will abandon it. But we thank God this government came and invited most projects of President Muhammadu Buhari, and most of them are being completed today. Bros, if you look at Nigeria today, somebody asked a question that, okay, what is the impact of Nigerian economy? The impact of the cash flow in Nigerian economy? I said, look, if you look at what is happening in the coastal highway from Lagos to Calabar today, it will create enough job opportunity for the youth.
But that project has also been very controversial, hasn't it?
Yes.
Are we going to pretend about that as well and just behave as though all is well with the project?
Yeah, bro. You know, there are a lot of speculative effect on anything you do in this world. Whatever that is good, people must criticize it. According to my former boss, he said, if you are not to be criticized, you are just more to be praised. If you look at the economic importance of that project, it supersedes whatever people talk about it today. Bros, how long will we continue without looking for how to create job opportunity? Without revamping our economy around Nigeria? That will create room for job opportunity, tourism, and so many other things. Today, everybody is running to Dubai, running to other countries. We're enriching them. Can't we have it along that way? So, bros, what the developmental impact of such project is more than what people are saying today.
I want us to end this conversation because time is spent now on a note of politics. All right, you've taken our time to talk about the programs of the president, but in 1 minute, let's talk about the opposition, the political opposition that is, that your party, the All Progressives Congress, is up against as we get closer to 2027.
Okay. As quick as possible, I will be brief about it. Just like some people complain that the president is lobbying or talking to governors, every governor is turning to APC today.
The allegation that he's coercing them.
Coercing them. Let me tell you, all those ones are false. You cannot be in a second ship. I'm right here in global television. And global television will pray that it should be #1 television in the world. As you straighten your activities and program, people look at your onions. They'll come and show you. You win awards. So every Nigerian knows that, yes, other parties are already in a second ship. They have to come and align.
It's only the APC that's afloat.
Yes.
And you don't see the ADC as a strong contender?
No. I don't see that as a strong contender. Because, one, a party that the foundation is not well solid, if your foundation is solid, you can have it the crack you're having today. The crack they're having today. They have I'm almost 2 or 3 party chairmen. She's struggling, she's battling in the court. At this critical electoral period, that the activities of candidation will come to a turn of a pass.
Incidentally, it appears we won't be able to push that conversation further. But the goal was to talk about governance and politics and not to discuss opposition. Hopefully, at another point, we'll bring up that conversation with you again. But in the meantime, I would like to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Abdul Yahya, Deputy National Chairman, Grassroots Mobilization for APC Nationwide, for coming to talk to us on Global Morning today.
Thank you so much.
Great. And that's what we're leaving it on the program, everyone. This is a very promising Friday, running into an amazing weekend. I would like to remind you too that the views of our guests across all of our programs are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agmofegwe saying have a big weekend ahead of you.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. And of course, Honorable Abdul Yahya, thank you once again for being a part of the program. Have an amazing day ahead from we and I. We say bye-bye.